All right, check the mic. We're live after dark. Thursday night football reaction. What a finish. The Atlanta Falcons 36-30 over the Tampa Bay Bucs. A ridiculous comeback by the Atlanta Falcons. A lot to unpack here, but Kirk Cousins to Kaderil Hodge. 45-yard walk-off touchdown in overtime here. Kirk Cousins now finishes with 509 passing yards in this game, Sam. And his fourth touchdown. What an offensive performance on both sides here.
Primetime Kirk Cousins. Primetime Kirk Cousins just absolutely blowtorching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. The blitz-heavy scheme of Todd Bowles, not a problem. Who needs an Achilles? Who needs a working leg? Just out there dealing under pressure. Like the myth. The guy has turned around his career from like struggling in primetime games to now Kirk Cousins, when everything else is on the line, is absolute money. Got it done late in the game. Got the game tying field goal drive done, and then executes the overtime win as well. Although, admittedly, that was more Kaderil Hodge than it was Kirk Cousins, but still phenomenal.
I mean, he's been in a lot of these now, Sam. This was I was joking with you earlier. Zach Robinson pulling out the PFF game plan. Kirk ends up dropping back. Well, he's got 58 pass attempts plus 4 sacks, so he drops back over 60 times. They only ran the ball 18 times with their running back, so it was a very pass-heavy attack, but also probably the cleanest game, I think the best game that Kirk played, I would say, from start to finish. There was some bad decisions in there, a couple turnover-worthy plays that he got away with, but as far as like velocity and everything, that I would say what Kirk looked like was probably the best that we've seen. And pass game-wise, you got Kyle Pitts involved. Sorry about your Prize Picks lineup. Drake London with a huge game for the Falcons. Darnell Mooney, a really big game outside of the huge drop that he had. They got everybody involved here.
That was the very first play of the game, right? It was play number 1. My Prize Picks lineup was dead. Like, it was as if Zach Robinson watched the Prize Picks clip and went, all right, we're gonna end that. That's job 1 today, is to end that Prize Picks lineup. And then job 2 is let's go about winning the game.
I'm just glad that we cannot be accused of having inside info and be like, oh, are they benching Kyle Pitts in this game? Is that why you're taking less than his total? No, it's not. Already in the chat, we've got people bringing up that the ref missed a face mask call. It was on the holding call by the Bucs. I didn't see the face mask, but I know Al was calling for a face mask, and they called a hold on the Bucs instead. This is when they were up 3, what could have been their final drive to clinch the game.
Yeah, it was legit. I mean, he got hold of the face mask, sort of tackled him around with it. It would have been offsetting penalties because of the hold, right. But it was a missed call. It was a face mask penalty.
A lot of things that happened here. The Bucs were down. I'm sorry, the Falcons were down 7 early fourth quarter. You mentioned the Bucs, their pressure packages and everything. The Falcons had a game plan to hurry up to the line of scrimmage on third down, and Todd Bowles was unable to set up those elaborate blitz packages. They did this on fourth down. This was one of the plays of the game. Now, if you look at the time, I noticed it too, but like in hindsight, for real, this is one of the most important parts of the game. Bucs are up 7. Falcons stuffed on 3rd and 2. I think it's 4th and 2. They rush to the line and go for it. And instead of taking an easy field goal, they didn't take the points early in the fourth quarter. Kirk throws a touchdown pass there. So the two things, rushing to the line, having a game plan for that, but also quickly deciding, hey, we're going for this. It's 4-down territory. We're not just taking a field goal in this shootout.
Yeah, Herb Street was talking about it, that he, in his conversations with Zach Robinson, one of the things Robinson said was the most important thing to do against this defense is vary the tempo, right? And start creating problems for that blitz package and that blitz defense by varying the time you're getting to the line and running a play and knocking them out of their rhythm, and so they can't just tee off on you and come after you with whatever they want to do in any given play. And you absolutely saw that in this game. Like, they weren't just, running through the play calls, but they were, that critical point, varying the tempo. Sometimes they were going fast, sometimes they were slowing it up. That was really good. I mean, like you said, Zach's worked for a coaching staff that has had the number of this defense. And to be honest, for the majority of this game, nobody was stopping anybody.
I think I forgot to mention that in the preview itself, but Sean McVay had a lot of success against Todd Bowles. A lot of success against Bowles. Remember the divisional round game when the Rams, on their way to the Super Bowl, pretty much torched that Todd Bowles defense. I hadn't considered that coming in, but it looked like Zach and Atlanta had a lot of answers. It did feel like, remember what I did mention on the show is that the Bucs run defense wasn't as good this year. It did feel like Atlanta came out almost facing like the old school Todd Bowles defenses that were really good against the run, and they just kept going pass heavy attack. The chat's reminding us you've got just so many incredible plays in this game. The spike, to set up the game tying field goal in regulation. The sequence there was really interesting, right? The Falcons have the ball. Kirk Cousins throws the ball over the middle. Zion McCollum breaks up the pass. That left 12 seconds on the clock. I believe 12 seconds was the amount of time that Dak Prescott had in that playoff game a few years ago. Remember against the Niners, they threw the ball over the middle of the field. They tried to run up and spike it. They ran out of time. Everybody made fun of them. Everybody made fun of them. You don't have enough time with 12 seconds left. They said, hey, we think we have 12 seconds left. Well, the Falcons did. Throw over the middle of the field, sprinted up, got the spike with 1 second left, got the game-tying field goal. That was an incredible turn of events and a delay of game on the Falcons as well to make it that much more difficult.
Yeah, when they made that throw over the middle, I thought the game was done. I didn't think they had enough time to get up and get it done. When he was tackled, there was 8 seconds left on the clock, and you need 1 still left on the clock at the end of it all. Otherwise, you don't have a play, which means everybody on that offense got up, got set, and got it spiked in 7 seconds, which is pretty impressive.
It was impressive operation by the offense to be able to pull that off. So there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot going on in this game. Both offenses were cooking. Don't want to take away from what Baker Mayfield and the Bucs did offensively. They ran the ball effectively. Rachaad White, Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving did have a bad fumble toward the end there. But Mayfield looks kind of old school, like almost Oklahoma Baker. Did you mention that to me, or did Renner? I mean, didn't you feel that after the red zone touchdown pass? It was like, man, that Baker Mayfield confidence and accuracy is like fully back from what we thought he was as a prospect 7 years ago.
Well, particularly because it was to his Oklahoma teammate, Sterling Shepard. Like actual proper throwback to 2015 or whatever it was. Yeah, Baker's, he's in a groove right now. Like, obviously, they didn't come out on the right side of this one. They end up getting a loss. But Baker was, in the first quarter, he missed a few throws. But the second quarter, he was absolutely dialed in. And he played really well in the game. Like, neither defense was stopping anybody, certainly in the first half. The second half wasn't much better either. Eventually, as the game wore on, Tampa Bay at least found some kind of pass rush, whereas Atlanta really didn't find any kind of pass rush throughout the entire game. And then the other thing I think just that's worth bringing up, he rescued them at the end, right, with the 52-yard field goal to tie it up. Teams almost cost them this game. I mean, you had multiple missed field goals, essentially, albeit a penalty that kind of reset one. You had a blocked field goal where, so missed field goal's on the kicker, right? The blocked field goal is on the blocking unit. I mean, they let a guy basically right up the middle to block that one. You had the kick return team that almost the entirety of the unit got run over for that kick return. The last guy standing managed to stop that being a touchdown. Like, Atlanta's special teams almost collapsed and gave this game away. And luckily made the one play at the end that they needed to rescue it.
And then after all that, too, we haven't even mentioned Jesse Bates, who had 2 forced fumbles in this game. One was recovered by Mike Evans. It was a crucial point in the game. 2 legit peanut punches. You've mentioned on the regular Check the Mike show quite often how good players are getting at doing that. 2 peanut punch forced fumbles. First one recovered by Mike Evans in the Bucs. Second one recovered by the Falcons. All of those plays added up, man. A lot of game-changing plays on the Falcons' end to be able to pull this off.
Yeah, Jesse Bates is exceptionally good at that. NFL defenders generally have gotten incredibly good at it. Like, you go and watch, old football. Like, pick your period, how many decades you want to go back. But, like, imagine a world where those guys had to deal with this regularity of defenders literally aiming perfect punches on that football. The amount of fumbles back then would have absolutely shot through the roof. It's so hard just to keep hold of the football in today's NFL with guys, hitting you, tackling you, being draped all over you, and then a safety or whatever comes in and just absolutely perfects a punch right on that football, it's so hard to keep hold of it.
Some people asking about Bijan Robinson and his lack of usage. I mean, he had 12 carries for 61 yards. 28 came on one carry. I don't think it's a Bijan thing. First off, over the last 2 weeks, Tyler Algier has run really well, and he's a very good back. And they sub him in for some of the carries. He had he had six out of the 18 carries today. Bijan had the other 12, and Bijan's used in how many? He had 3 catches for 16 yards. I just think they came in and said they treated this like an old school Bucs defense that has Vita Vea in the middle, that's usually good against the run, that you usually want to spread to throw. And they had a good plan from a pass game perspective, a lot of open receivers. I just think it was a game plan oriented thing today in particular, that where Zach in the Falcons said, hey, we're gonna chuck it around today. We're not going to try to run a whole lot.
Yeah, like there's a lot of kind of narrative driven analyses written about this offense and Kirk Cousins and all those kinds of things. I think that people are overlooking how game to game the actual game plan is determining a lot of these things. People are kind of trying to concoct trends based off 2-week things that are going one way or the other. But like this offense is changing on a week to week basis based off the defense they're facing. Like they clearly came into this game with the intent on throwing it a lot and did, right? And it's not like the run game was ineffective necessarily, but Cousins dropped back to pass 58 times and threw for 500 yards.
Some of that's you're playing from behind in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But look, let's ask
the first
a real
half,
question.
He had 250 yards. Like
he did. Now, I got a real question for you, though. Is this the first time we've actually seen all of these Atlanta playmakers that we rattle off every week and every offseason? They've got this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. Add it all up. Is this the first time we've seen them all working in the same game? Because Bijan added his, right? They did a lot of pass to set up the run. That run came late, the 28-yarder where he broke free. But Kyle Pitts, you mentioned earlier, he got involved. Drake London had his 12 catches. Darnell Mooney was open this entire game. And then he got Cordero Hodge with the game winner. Is this the first time we've actually seen all of these playmakers working together?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you were being really nitpicky, you would say, it's still underusing Bijan relative to expectations. But yeah, look, 150 yards for Drake London and his touchdown. Darnell Mooney, he had that one drop that looked like it was going to cost him the game, but he made a couple of spectacular plays. Like the catch into double coverage was amazing. It would be harsh to kind of blame him too much. It was a bad drop. It was incredibly bad timing, and it did almost cost him the game. But he'd done an awful lot of good in this game. Got himself 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts with 7 catches and 88 yards. Like that's as big a Kyle Pitts game as we've seen in a long time. So yeah, like it's as close as we've seen to everybody we expect to be good actually firing.
That first was it the first touchdown, Cousins to Mooney, maybe the second one. That when he zipped it up the seam, kind of into double coverage. Man, that was where I felt like, okay, Kirk's feeling it, right? The ball's coming off his hand, not every time, but it's definitely much better than it was just a few weeks ago.
But those throws in particular, where he steps into it and tries to zip it over the middle, those are the ones where he has the most arm strength. The ones where he has to throw it horizontally, out towards the sideline, that's where you really see it die on him still. But I think, again, they are rewiring. They are figuring out where he is strong, where he's weak, and I think that they've gotten a much better handle on that.
From a Bucs perspective, I mean, obviously a tough loss. We were talking about they were 3-1 coming in. Now both teams are 3-2. Falcons 1 up here on the Bucs in this division. As far as the division goes, Falcons technically in first place now in the division, with the Saints being 2-2. Again, I think the Bucs offense has been has just been. I mean, they were outstanding tonight. They, not a lot of complaints about the offense. The only thing that came down, there was a lot of game management type of stuff at the end, right? The Falcons went for it on 4th and long in their own territory at the end of regulation, and Kirk threw an interception on 4th and long to Levante David. Saw some questions about should David have dropped it. It was 4th and 15 or whatever it was. I thought at the time it was fine that the Falcons went for it. They had all 3 timeouts. The Bucs were in that spot where if they went up 6, you're giving the ball back to the team with a touchdown to go. And I thought the decision for the Falcons to go for it was fine, but the Bucs, as good as their offense was the entire day, one first down away from winning it. They had the holding penalty. The first play went for -3. They just couldn't seal the deal in the end.
Yeah, that's why it's an interesting call, because any first down, the game is over anyway, essentially, right? So it doesn't really matter where you're giving them the ball, because if they get a first down, the game's done, right? So even if it's in your own red zone, if they get a first down, the game's over. If they don't get a first down, they're kicking a field goal. You're still getting the ball back with a chance, right? Okay, It's now a chance where you need a touchdown, but it's still a chance. So I guess from that point of view, it's not a huge deal, but that's also kind of the reason for playing field position as well. Like, you can't give up a first down, so you could argue that you're better off trying to gain significant field position with a punt, stop them there, get it back, and now you're only chasing a field goal. So I don't know. I'm not actually sure where the analytics would come down on that one. To me, I can see either direction. I don't have a problem with going for it.
Yeah.
Except you needed 15 yards. Kirk Cousins still kind of has a noodle.
They were sitting on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they got pressure. Like, that was another one of those plays where they actually got some pressure. Now Cousins has got to try and do it all with his arm, and David's just sitting on it waiting for it. So generally, in abstract terms, I don't have a huge problem with it. Cousins specifically trying to get 15 yards in a do-or-die situation didn't feel like a great percentage play.
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers would have said on that either, but I assume it was close. I didn't hate it either way, because you're giving yourself a theoretical opportunity for a first down on 4th and 15, even though it's a low percentage. Right. That's got to be baked in as well. But it ended up being essentially the worst possible scenario for the Bucs, right? They go 3 and out, get moved out of field goal range, they punt it, and then somebody in the chat also mentions they punt it into the end zone, right? So pretty much everything that could have gone wrong for the Bucs went wrong, moved backwards, punt into the end zone. Falcons did have all their timeouts gone, but they only needed a field goal anyway. If this was a playoff game, you'd be going back and being like, here's like 8 to 10 things that had to go right for the Falcons to win this game. This was incredible. Shout out to the Bucs offense. I thought they were fantastic, still looking really good, dealing with some injuries over on that side of the ball, and still have what it takes to move the ball. Mayfield looking good, and I think it's a tough one to see how they rally coming out of this one.
Yeah.
What else we got?
It's tough to sort of see what their reaction would be coming out of this, right? Because on the one hand, they played really well again on offense. The defense was terrible, other than getting pressure.
They go to the Saints, by the way, next week. They have the extra time off, and they go to New Orleans.
So it's like this run of division games. I don't think that they should feel too disheartened coming out of this game, other than the fact that obviously it was a bad game to drop. But it's not like they played terribly. It's not like they got blown out. It was just a bad result.
Jareek Hill says, feels like the Falcons are playing this exact same script every week. Exhausting. I saw our friend Greg Rosenthal talking about that on Twitter, how QBs have styles. QBs are bringing their style of game, and he's like, Kirk Cousins is introducing the Falcons to the Kirk Cousins game. This is new, though. This was like Kirk Cousins Vikings, essentially fourth quarter comeback guy, and pulling it off in the end. This is Vikings Cousins coming to Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, this was really good, right? He's still limited, might be the wrong word. He is still not what he used to be, right? Physically. Like, you can see he's not the player that he was before the Achilles. But number one, it's less than a year from that Achilles injury, right? He's still in the kind of recovery phase. And number two, I mean, he's more than functional, right? We're not like waiting for him to get good. He's playing well now, and we know there's more in the tank. So it's gone from week one, we were like, this is a disaster. This might not work at all. Get ready for Michael Penix by, October, right? And now we're a few weeks later, and it's like, okay, he's still got plenty of room to grow and to get better and to get healthier. And he just hung 500 yards on the Bucs defense.
It did feel like something was unlocked here tonight. So we'll see. Again, the excitement around Atlanta for me coming into the season was around those playmakers with a quarterback now who can get the ball to them. And we didn't see this, I don't think, at all in the Arthur Smith era. This is the first time I think we saw this ever, where all these dudes are playing to their capability, and you see how difficult the stress they put is they could put on the defense. I still think Atlanta's pass rush has some issues. Their run defense they had just general issues on defense. Yeah, the pass rush has been horrible. I talked about it. Lowest PFF pass rush grade as a team coming in. And I didn't think they'd be great this year, but I thought bottom 10, not bottom 1. So they have the ability to get better with Grady Jarrett, David Onyemata, Matthew Judon up there.
They do. I don't know how much better though.
Better than worst.
I wonder if Atlanta is a potential landing spot for Hassan Reddick the longer this drags out. Like, could they try and make something happen there? Because they need something. Like, this is not. I don't think that what they have is capable of becoming anything other than a problem this season as a pass rushing force. Reddick at least provides something, right? It's not a move I'm sure they want to make, but if this is a team now they've drugged themselves back into contention, right? They're still firmly back in that we could win the division, we could go to the playoffs, we could make noise with Kirk Cousins. You're not winning anything like big. You're not winning a Super Bowl. You're not winning a championship with this pass rush. So if they do think that that's an outcome that they could have this season, they need to find some answer.
Yeah, I mean, they already traded a third rounder for Matthew Judon to get here. I mean, I just think it puts the pressure on Raheem Morris as a head coach, and being generally on the defensive side of the ball. How do you deal with what you have? How do you work with what you have? Is it blitzing more? Is it scheming it up more? I saw people talking about the 0% pressure rate in the first half. Like, Baker was under pressure, at least on the one. He was pressured on the blitz. That was an NGS stat. I don't know if that was real. I don't know if I trust it. But yeah, it was one pressure. It was one unblocked pressure, I think, in the first half, and that was it. So yeah, they don't create a lot of pressure with their one-on-ones at all right now.
No, I mean, we said, right, they were running up against a couple of quarterbacks that were more conducive to getting pressure, and they have not got more pressure.
Yeah. We have some people asking about future watch-alongs. You and I were talking about that today. Is that something we should do? Is that something somebody would hang out and watch a primetime game with us?
I think it definitely is at some stage. I don't know when, but yeah, I think definitely we should do something like that.
So yeah, let us know. Hashtag let us know if you want to watch, do a live watch along, see how it goes. Let us know in the chat. Just put it in the chat if you're down for it. Any other questions? Any other thoughts on our way out here? Sam wants to get to bed. He's upset. It was overtime. Gets cranky right around midnight.
I got cranky the very second Kyle Pitts got 32 yards on the first catch of the game.
Max21 says, I don't remember Check the Mic mentioning secret weapon Kaderil Hodge in the preview to this game. We did go through a stretch about 6 years ago where we were very good at predicting Thursday night games. Yeah. I mean, overly good. I predicted Baker Mayfield coming in off the bench in his third NFL game and leading a comeback, and it happened. You predicted Nick Mullins going nuts in his first NFL start against the Raiders. We had an unbelievable run, and then we said, well, we can't top this. So we kind of kept that to ourselves that Hodge was going to have the walk-off touchdown tonight. So surprise. And how about the Mets, Sam?
How about the Mets? Look, somebody, here you go. Here's put that one up. Fire that one up. Can you get into that? Could you get part of the team?
So the founder of the Savannah Bananas is a former teammate, Jesse Cole. Jesse Cole and I were college summer league teammates, both playing for the Mill City All-Americans back in 2003, Lowell All-Americans. Jesse, owner of the 7 Yellow Tuxedos. I did not know they were coming to Great America next year. Terry Francona also got hired by the Reds today. Huge day. So, yeah, I think we will be going to the Savannah Bananas game next year. Absolutely. I'll talk to Jesse.
I need you playing in the game.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they're bringing, like, Roger Clemens back and everything.
Yeah.
They're bringing real players back, not me. I would go if they just, like, let me sit in the bullpen for the game and maybe warm up.
send them the sped up tape that Tyler made of you pitching 75 so it looks like you're pitching 100?
Steve on stilts. I'll be the stilts guy. Oh man,
That'll
this
work.
is really good. Look at I love that Jared hates baseball, but he likes my stories. It's great. And I have a knack. I could tell you how many degrees of separation I am from everybody.
You would be an absolute danger to yourself and everything within a half-mile radius on stilts.
That would be I don't want to be on stilts. I don't want to be on stilts. But we got to check that out. Huge night. Tito Francona, former World Series champion, Boston Red Sox World Series champion manager, who just got hired by the Reds. A lot of excitement. A lot of excitement here in Cincinnati, Sam. And you got tickets to the Y'alls. You got tickets to the Y'alls. How'd you get that?
I didn't, as much as my daughter got tickets to the Y'alls, which means I'm stuck going to it.
When? It's like they're still playing? It must be a playoff game. What's going on? For when?
It's like I don't think Y'all's tickets are tremendously hard to get. They're they're applicable to any game, basically.
How are they still playing? It's October.
Maybe they're not. Maybe it's just applicable to like any game from now until the end of time. If you show these 2 bits of paper, they'll let you in the building.
That's possible. But yeah, I haven't been back to a Y'all's game since I played for the Florence Freedom back in 2004. Same team. So yeah. Anything else? People are still watching us past midnight. I don't know why, but appreciate everybody
Particularly
being
since
here.
we haven't been talking about the game for the last 5 minutes.
Talking about the Savannah Bananas. But yeah, I'll talk to Jesse Cole, and maybe you and I could be a part of the game somehow as a mid-tier NFL podcast here. I'm sure, mid-tier celebrity as we are.
Nice.
Great. CeeDee Lamb's going to have 1 rushing yard next.
I'm going to be so bummed if the other 2 come in and Kyle Pitts just decided to go off on Thursday night.
You should jump in. You should jump in and make another lineup so you have something to watch on Sunday. You should. And then post that. Go make another lineup since this one failed miserably. Yeah, Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks. They're there we go. It's all inverted. There it is. Shout out to Prize Picks. Go make some lineups and join us. Join us in the Discord. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
That good? Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Check the mic after dark. We'll see you again after all the Sunday night games.